So in this video, we are going to continue working on our GUI layout. We already set up the menus, and we have a tab pane, but we don't have any tabs in it. We're going to actually wind up adding tabs every time they add a drawing, so it's probably good to make a separate method that does this. We can call it, and we can make it actually a private method because no one else should be calling it. Make drawing tab, and this is going to return a tab to us. The tab is a type in the ScalaFX library. And we'll be able to, right here, say tab pane plus equals make the drawing tab. Okay. So what needs to go down inside of here? Well, our goal is to have this. And actually, I think it'll be easiest if we make this an adjustable line too. In order to make it so these are adjustable, we make them into split panes. So we're going to have one split pane at the top, and then we'll have a split pane on the left and the right of that. So we could go ahead and say top split is a new split pane, and that's going to use a left split, which is a split pane, and a right split, which is a split pane, new. Down here at the bottom, to make this so it's happy, we could go ahead and make the tab, which is a new tab. Tabs all have text on them. Now they should have the text for whatever the drawing is called. We don't have a name for this one, so we will call it untitled. Maybe we'll wind up changing that in the future if we actually have something that we can do. And we can give back the tab. We should also set the tab to have the content of that top split. Okay. And the top split, actually we can set its two contents. Top split dot items plus plus equals a list of the left split and the right split. No, that's not going to be capitalized. Okay. We can also decide where we want this to be positioned. If you see in our drawing here, it's not centered, which is where it will wind up being by default. We can set its position as a double. It looks like about 0.3 or so would be reasonably good there. So we can take the top split dot divider position equals 0.3. Okay, so what goes on the left split? Well, the left split is supposed to have something called a tree view on the top of it, and then something on the bottom that represents, that will hold the properties when we've selected something. It's not clear what that will be yet, but both of these could wind up getting big, and for that reason we need to embed them inside of what are called scroll panes. So let's go ahead and make the tree, which will hold this, and this will be a new tree view, and tree view has a type parameter. We're going to make it so our tree view can hold strings. We need to import that. And then, because it can get large, we're going to make something called a scroll pane to embed it inside of. Okay? And we need to set the content of the scroll pane. I guess I need to import my scroll pane to be the drawing tree. Okay, so we have a tree, we embed it inside of a scroll pane. What else goes there? Well, we have that properties pane, and we could, at least for now, just say the property pane is just going to be a scroll pane itself, because we really don't know what's going to go there. So then we make the split, and the split needs to have those two items put into it. So left split plus plus, or left split dot items plus plus equals a list of the tree scroll and the property pane. Now, as I'm doing this, you might wonder, how do we know all of these things that we can do? How do we know that we can do dot items and dot content and stuff like that? And remember that if you go to ScalaFX.org, you get this page which has an API. So pick whatever it is that you want. In our case, we had if we want to know what's inside the scroll pane, here is our documentation for the scroll pane and all the things that we can put inside of scroll panes. So you're often going to refer to the API because you're inevitably not going to memorize all the things that you can do with this. There's one other issue here. These split panes can either be oriented horizontally or vertically. Indeed, our figure, one of them, the bar goes vertically, and the other two, the bar goes horizontally. It turns out the default behavior is what we see at the top level. So we need to set the orientation of the other two so that they work. And so our left split dot orientation, there is a type called orientation in ScalaFX.geometry, and it has members called vertical and horizontal. Now, the thing that can be slightly confusing about this is not the orientation of the line, this is the orientation of the elements you add in there. And it turns out you can add more than one. So you can have more than two elements. You could add a third element and then you get two bars between them. So I want the left and the right to wind up having a vertical orientation, which once again that might seem a little bit odd because you think of the line is oriented horizontally, but it's actually the orientation of the elements that you're putting in that matters. So what needs to happen on the right side of this? Well, the right side is going to have a slider at the top and as well as a drawing area, and then on the bottom it's going to have a text field and a text area. Now the way these look to me, this is a very small thing at the top and this is a large thing that kind of takes up as much space as it wants. Same thing here. Well then, just like what we did previously, we made our menu bar with a border pane. I think that's a reasonable thing to do here. So we can make the top right border be a new border pane, and we can also make the bottom right border be a new border pane. In the top right border, we are going to put a slider. Now the slider can take some arguments for a minimum value, a maximum value, and the value that it starts off at. I'm going to have our values go from 0 to 1,000, and we'll start at 0. We need to import our slider. We also need to have that canvas that we can draw on. Okay, so we import that. We have our border here. So I'm going to set those things in the border. So top right border dot top is going to be the slider, and top right border dot center is going to be the canvas, because that center element takes up as much space as it can. The top gets just what it needs vertically, but takes the whole space horizontally. For the bottom right border, we are going to have a command field. This is a text field that we enter in commands into. And then we also need a text area, so we'll call this command area. And this will be where they type, or where we put everything that winds up being displayed. Now, The thing is, the user should be able to edit the text field. They should not be able to edit the text area. So let's go ahead and set command area dot editable equal to false. Did I get the right command area or text area? Yes, it appears so. And do I have my all-important import there? Yes, I do. Oh, that's simple enough. I left out the keyword new. Okay, that makes it happy. Okay, so we have a command field and a command area, which we need to add into this bottom right border. One of the things that you are seeing right here is that GUIs are verbose. There's pretty much no way around that. I've never seen a GUI library that was not verbose. You can't write really short code. And so this will be the command area. Okay, then we have our split pane. We need to, just as we added things to the left split, we need to add things to the right split. Right split dot items plus plus equals a list of the right top border and the right bottom border, or bottom right border, in which case it's probably top right border and bottom right border. Okay, so we've added those in there. Should we adjust the position on this one? Probably. I think I want this, the right split dot divider position, to be a little bit further down in there. Okay, that's a fair bit of code for us to test. Let's check it out. Okay, so this is our tree right now. It has scroll pane, which I don't know if it really needs to have. Apparently it likes to be that big, and so if we make it big enough, it doesn't get scroll bars, and then it doesn't fill the whole space. Maybe we should do something to deal with that. Maybe we'll find out how we can deal with that. We have our canvas, we have our slider, and we have the ability to type into here, but we can't type into this one because it's not editable. That actually looks pretty good to me. Okay, so we have our basic GUI layout set up, and now we just need to figure out how to make it interactive, how to make it so that stuff happens when we, for example, select menu items, type in text, click on stuff. That'll come in the following video.